Many people remember the assassination of Jorge Eliezer Gaitán. Many remember the riots known as El Bagatazo. But the larger tragedy was what followed, a period known simply as La Violencia. La Violencia lasted approximately from 1948 until 1958. For roughly 10 years, Colombia experienced one of the most difficult periods in its modern history. To understand modern Colombia, it is important to understand La Violencia. And to understand La Violencia, we must first understand that it was not a traditional war. There were no clear front lines, or there was no single battlefield. Instead, the conflict spread through towns, villages, farms, and rural communities. It entered everyday life. The conflict primarily involved supporters of the liberal and conservative parties. Political rivalry between these groups had existed for generations. However, after the assassination of Gaitán in 1948, tensions intensified dramatically. Violence spread throughout many regions of the country. The countryside suffered especially severe consequences. For many Colombians, politics was no longer simply a matter of voting. Political identity could become a matter of life and death. What made La Violencia particularly tragic was that it often occurred between people who knew one another, neighbors, former friends, and members of the same community, sometimes even members of the same extended family. Old grievances mixed with political loyalties. Personal disputes became political disputes. Political disputes became personal conflicts. As the violence spread, fear became part of daily life. Many families abandoned their homes. Others fled to larger towns and cities seeking safety. Some never returned. Entire communities were transformed. For those who lived through the period, uncertainty became normal. People worried about traveling after dark. They worried about rumors. They worried about who could be trusted. In many places, fear changed the rhythm of daily life. The violence was especially destructive because it lasted for so many years. A single riot is terrible. A single battle is terrible. But 10 years of fear can leave scars that last for generations. Historians estimate that approximately 200,000 people died during La Violencia. Some estimates are higher, others are lower, but all agree that the human cost was enormous. At the time, Colombia's population was much smaller than it is today. As a result, the impact of these deaths was felt across the nation. The consequences of La Violencia extended far beyond the loss of life. Trust in institutions weakened. Political divisions deepened. Many Colombians lost confidence in the ability of traditional political leaders to solve national problems. Large numbers of people migrated from rural areas to urban centers. The social and political effects continued long after the violence itself diminished. Many historians consider La Violencia one of the most important turning points in Colombian history. It shaped politics, it shaped communities, and it shaped the way many Colombians understood their nation. The lessons of La Violencia remain relevant today. The period reminds us that political disagreement can become dangerous when dialogue disappears. It reminds us that violence rarely remains limited to politicians and leaders. Ordinary people often pay the highest price. Ojo. For the citizenship examination, remember several key facts. La Violencia lasted approximately from 1948 until 1958. The conflict primarily involved liberals and conservatives. The violence was especially severe in rural areas. Approximately 200,000 people died. The period had a profound influence on modern Colombian society. When Colombians study La Violencia, they are not simply studying a chapter in a textbook. They are studying a period that affected families, communities, and generations. For many Colombians, the memory of La Violencia is not only history, it is part of the national memory, and understanding that memory helps us better understand Colombia today.